忍びの時代は終わる。
螺旋が
Yao Databayo. Sneak Peek Chapter 20 is probably just a few days away from coming out, and of course there will be a lot of plot twists that will happen in the latest chapter. And I'm sure one very interesting thing for us to wait for is Kawaki. Will Amado adjust his power parameters to the limit, or will he even lie to Kawaki by changing his appearance, or even color like he did to Code? But certainly as a scientist who can be said to be cunning, he will always prioritize what will be his priority, restoring his daughter's life. That is his one goal in life. But if I may assume, it seems that Amado will do something that can be said to be cheating. He seems to adjust Kawaki's parameters so that he is stronger, but actually he only sets Kawaki's parameters to level 50. What that means is he'll still get increased strength, however he'll still maintain his defense and regeneration. But of the many possibilities, the worst possibility is that Amado didn't do that at all, and he just adjusted his appearance or something like Code. Because when it comes to Code, of course, I'm sure you agree with me that in Chapter 73, Amado didn't really remove the limiter, because after all, this is contrary to the future that Koji sees. Because basically, Code has great potential in the future if he can defeat Kawaki and make him a food of 10 tails. Because from that future, it means that Code actually hasn't gotten all of his true power yet. But the curiosity is, will Code corner Amado once again to completely remove his limiter, or will he get that incredible power from something we didn't expect? But surely that's the only two possibilities for Code to become stronger. Amado or from a chakra fruit, or even Tagadama if he can consume it. Because then again, Code is a cyborg, and indirectly that could allow him to consume a chakra fruit or even Togadama. But saying Code will consume the chakra fruit, honestly this is something difficult. Because after all, Jura gave a condition to Code to kill Boruto or Koji. And if he can successfully kill and complete what was ordered by Jura, then he will get the chakra fruit as promised by Jura. But the big question mark is, how will Code do that with the strength and ability that is clearly that this is far different in level from Boruto himself? Oh yeah, back to talking about the upcoming Chapter 20. After I reread the previous few chapters, especially Chapter 17, there was a clue. And I think it makes sense to say that this is part of Shikamaru's scenario, but it's more about Matsuri. Currently, many fans, including myself, feel that Konohamaru is a foolish Junin. Due to his selfishness, he even disregarded his own life rather than obeying Matsuri's will and responding to her wishes. But as a fan, this is what Masashi should create, so that every fan gets into the emotional part of the story he created. But I can assume that this is the part that will determine the outcome between success or not. But in my opinion, it will succeed. There are two possibilities that can be said that it will succeed, and Konohamaru will not be devoured by Matsuri. First is Kagebunshin. Believe it or not, Kagebunshin is an absolute jutsu that can deceive the enemy or even Otsutsuki. Moreover, the divine tree human itself, who is literally an innocent person and doesn't really understand every jutsu or technique of every shinobi, right? No matter how the current Konohamaru will end up being devoured by the Matsuri, but most likely he as our Junin will have great expectation if he uses Kagebunshin to run this scenario from the beginning. Because actually, this is also something that doesn't make sense. As a Junin, it's strange for him to act weirdly and even seem to ignore his own life. It's as if he doesn't care about any of his decisions, which ended up making Matsuri furious. He behaves like he's completely safe and that there's no problem with what he says to Matsuri, right? And that's why, from the very beginning, he used Kagebunshin to have more freedom in speaking, provoking Matsuri and playing with her emotions, making her unable to understand her own feelings and why she's reacting that way. But wait, guys. And this second possibility is closely related to the first, and that is Shikamaru's scenario. If we look at a flashback before Konohamaru carried out his mission, Shikamaru had said that he chose Konohamaru for no reason, especially about Matsuri. Shikamaru explained that Matsuri herself had a feeling of love for Konohamaru. Even Shikamaru also said that it was an advantage if, in the end, Matsuri would become confused, or rather she did not fully understand the current emotions and feelings. And from both possibilities, it can be concluded that Konohamaru has a reason for being silly like that. Because of course, with his level of a Junin, there is no way he doesn't have a reason to behave like that. Because after all, with the emotional Matsuri that in context he doesn't understand and know what he really feels, it is clear that Shikamaru's previous words make sense if this is an advantage. So the conclusion is, if indeed the conditions and situations are that Konohamaru will be devoured, then most likely it is not the real Konohamaru, but rather a Kagebunshin. Because, again, it is very strange and does not make sense if a Junin does not have a plan A, B, or C. And surely they have prepared several plans very carefully. But if it was the real Konohamaru and he didn't use Bunshin from the beginning, then the last possibility is to play on Matsuri's emotions and feelings. With her innocence, then there is nothing impossible that Matsuri will become unstable and undo her intention to devour Konohamaru. But that all depends on how Konohamaru's role will be. Because if we recall the flashback in chapter 17, Shikamaru reminded Konohamaru to take charge of the situation. Expecting Kawaki or Boruto, it's actually the wrong choice, because after all, especially Boruto himself, then some characters don't have a chance to shine. They will continue to always depend on Boruto, who absolutely easily helps them. Well, even though the bet is Jura himself, who will most likely kill him if he appears on the battlefield. But actually the point is not that. It's more how Konohamaru and the team have a chance to shine without the intervention of various parties, such as Kawaki or Boruto himself. Even if we look back at the last chapter, Koji had told Boruto to at least not now. And that means Koji has another probability that they have a big chance of succeeding. And from the analysis that I said before, I just found a reason why Konohamaru will succeed. And of course, he will not be devoured by Matsuri. And from the two possibilities, such as Bunshin or benefiting from Matsuri's innocence, I actually prefer the first option, namely Bunshin. Although this cannot be claimed that 100% will happen. But what do you think, guys? But if we're talking about Sarada and the team, where their situation only depends on the Araya sword, I'm pessimistic that they will succeed. Especially Boruto most likely won't help them, after Koji said not to now. I'd like to hear your thoughts, guys, especially Sarada and the team. Is there any help coming from the Inoshikacho team? But I think this is a very low probability, especially since we know Inojin must not have recovered after Jura destroyed part of his body. Whatever your thoughts are, I'm happy to wait for you guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subs. I'm Nim. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye, Databayo.